Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about one of the most important superhero films in recent memory, James Gunn's Superman. This isn't just a reboot, it's the beginning of DC's new era, Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. So the question is, did they finally get Superman right? Directed and written by James Gunn, the film stars David Cornswet as Superman, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. What's different about this movie when you compare it to its predecessors? This isn't an origin story. Gunn drops us straight into a world where Superman already exists. And from the very first scene, you can tell this version is truly embracing the comic book feel of the character. At its heart, Superman is about hope, humanity, and doing good simply because it's the right thing to do. This Superman isn't weighed down by darkness. He inspires others just by being who he is. The light touches not just civilians, but other heroes in the Justice Gang. And that ripple effect, that's classic Superman. And honestly, the emotional moments here rarely land. The scenes with his parents, especially the speech by his father, are some of the film's most heartfelt moments. His quiet moments with civilians and his interactions, especially with one civilian, Malik, ground the film in something real. And the invasion of the fictional nation of Jarhanpur, that's why you see Superman not just as a fighter, but as a symbol. It's really powerful stuff. Let's talk about the fight scenes in this movie because there are really some standout sequences. The fight with the kaiju-sized alien, that was really interesting, and seeing how Superman made an effort to help the civilians, and even a squirrel, that was great. And it really helped to show his character because even though this creature was a monster basically, he still wanted to make an effort to help it. So not only was the fight scene cool, but it also helped and supported Superman's character, which was great. Now, Mr. Terrific was a standout of this film and his combat scenes were amazing. And I think that he really should be a main player in the DCU's future. Now, the Justice Gang. Overall, I think that they were really cool during their fight scenes, especially when they defended Jarhanpur at the end of the film. It was pure comic book spectacle and I really enjoyed it. Visually, the movie looks great for the most part. As I mentioned earlier, the CGI is solid. A few of the bigger fight scenes had some questionable CGI, but it was barely noticeable. The aesthetic of this movie is bright, clean, and has a comic book flair. And it's something which I also observed in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And it had a very similar vibe to that and I really enjoyed it. There's one shot of the Superman symbol during his fight scene with Lex Luthor's Raptors, and that honestly was great and felt super iconic. The movie is fast-paced in some areas, but I think that for the most part it's fine. The score by John Murphy and David Fleming really hits the perfect nostalgic tone of John Williams' original Superman score, but it brings something new, something fresh, and I really enjoyed it. The casting here in this movie really works, and David Cornswet is a fantastic Superman. He's optimistic, he's vulnerable, and he feels human. He doesn't feel too godlike, and he feels very relatable as a character. Something I feel was missing from some of the previous interpretations of Superman. Now, Rachel Brosnahan is a sharp and confident Lois Lane with real chemistry between her and David Cornswet. I think that was great, and the dynamic between Superman and Lois was fantastic. Now, one of the standouts of this movie was Nicholas Hoult's Lex Luthor. He was cold, calculated, and easily one of the best comic book villains I've ever seen. His true evil, unredeemable nature is something I've not seen in a long time, since Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, and I'm very happy to say that he is probably the best comic book villain of the year so far. James Gunn brings his signature sincerity and lightness to the film, and it really helps Superman shine. Now, a lot of people were complaining how the cast seemed quite full and it seemed more like a Justice League movie rather than a Superman movie. But I really do feel that each and every character is constantly influenced by Superman, his decisions, and his character and morals. And you see how his actions truly influence those around him. And for that reason, I do feel like these characters don't crowd him, but instead enrich the world around him and help support his character arc. Now let's be fair, this movie is not perfect. Some of the humor didn't really land for me. The CGI, as mentioned, has its weak spots, and in terms of story, it's not the most original when it comes to the concept of evil Kryptonians. This is because we've seen something very similar in the show Invincible, where an evil superpowered race comes to Earth, appearing benevolent when they do have ulterior motives. So in that story, it was Omni-Man who came to Earth pretending to be a hero like Superman, but eventually he revealed his true intentions to conquer the planet. Now, despite all these flaws, I do still really enjoy this movie. When it all comes together, Superman feels like a genuine return to form, not just for Superman as a character, but for DC overall. It's hopeful, character-driven, and filled with heart. My rating, 9 out of 10. It's not flawless, but it reminded me why Superman matters, and that's more than enough. So what did you think? Did Gunn's Superman win you over, or are you still waiting for DC to truly find its footing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this review, give it a like, maybe even hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and remember, your choices, your actions, that's what makes you who you are.